Kia ora, good evening. The government has announced that the age of retirement will remain at 65, despite a recommendation it be progressively lifted. The Commission for Financial Literacy and Retirement Income has recommended pegging the age of eligibility for the universal state pension to longevity, which would see the retirement age rise over time as the life expectancy of New Zealanders increases. The Commission recommendations would see today's 25-year-olds receive the state-provided pension at 68 rather than 65. Associate Finance Minister Stephen Joyce says fiscally responsible governments will be able to keep the age of eligibility for New Zealand Super where it is. The vibrant Invercargill board is vowing to fight the decision to cut its funding at the end of June next year. The organisation is charged with improving the viability of Invercargill's commercial business district. Vibrant is independent of the Invercargill City Council and is funded through a rate levied on inner city building owners. Vibrant Invercargill's acting deputy chair Philip Todd believes the City Council has failed to engage with Vibrant and that it's likely that Venture Southland will benefit from the demise of Vibrant.
If the council engaged with Vibrant, we could have a very constructive relationship, but they failed to engage with us. By taking it back towards Venture, they've got to put it into an organisation that they take complete control of, or have complete control of.
There is no confirmation of that though at this stage, is there? That it would go to Venture?
I think Richard King in the paper yesterday spelled out that it's going to go partly to Venture, and it sounds like they're going to employ a person at the council to do part of it. The survey conducted by council, Richard King talks about this and an overwhelming support for change. The survey wasn't about change, it was all about the community's involvement with council and whether they could have better lines of communication with council. I think every sector of Invercargill would love to have better lines of communication with council, but it doesn't. The overwhelming support wasn't. There's no such thing as overwhelming support in that, and it's not an independent survey.
There was controversy with Vibrant in its inception in the early or late 90s. Do you think that's had an influence on events now?
I think it has to some degree. I've been researching that, and I can't see why. There's nothing wrong with good, strong debate. And some of the stuff that came up at that time was quite amusing, I think. And some people obviously have taken offence to it, and it's carried on for a very long time. Yeah.
You think that has lived with a few people all that time?
I definitely think it has, yes. I think the same people have been pushing for getting rid of Vibrant for a very long time, and it's come up every 2 to 3 years, and it's an ongoing battle, and there's never any discussion about the value of Vibrant to the city. It's always about expecting Vibrant to justify its position over and over again. It's ridiculous. They're still talking about Vibrant's contract with the council. There's no such thing as a contract with the council or any sort of agreement with the council over service delivery. Never ever has been. But Richard King continually alludes to such a thing being in place.
So there was no memorandum of understanding throughout the whole process or commitment from Vibrant or what services should be delivered stipulated? No,
never has been, and we've actually asked for that. You know, that has been pointed out in the past, that we could get a better involvement with council. We've extended an open door invitation to all the board meetings from any person from council. It's been taken up, I think, once or twice in the time that I've been on Vibrant over the last 10, 12 years. Vibrant's definitely going to come out and fight this. We'll fight our way through the long-term plan. We'll talk to the businesses and see if we can gauge, what support they want to give us. At the moment, the support has been very positive, and so we'll work through the process after we've got to work through the process.
The Professor of Hotel and Tourism Management at Hong Kong Polytechnic University was in the city today, presenting 2 seminars at SIT's Hanson Hall. Professor Kay Chon has had a comprehensive academic career in the field of hospitality and tourism, publishing over 200 papers, authoring and editing 10 books, and receiving research fellowships and lecture invitations from universities and polytechnics throughout the world. Professor Chon spoke to us today about how the industry has changed over time and how New Zealand compares on a global level.
There are many changes. First of all, the customers have changed. Travelers today are very sophisticated because they are more experienced, and also they are making decisions based upon much more information that is available through internet and other sources. Services are based upon cultures, the local cultures, and for that I think New Zealand has some benefits. I always say that when you enter a country, the first people you are dealing with are immigration officers or customs officers, and I always compliment that the immigration officers in New Zealand are one of the few countries where we can see smiles on their faces.
So does our service in New Zealand have a good reputation worldwide?
I think so. It has a good reputation. And certainly I think there's also good Asian influence. If you think about it, in more recent years, the best hotels, best airlines, even best airports are all located in Asia. While tourism started very late in Asia, I think there's a lot of cultural element behind that, because the Asian cultural attitude where you are serving guests not because the guests are paying the money to you, but you really want to serve them. If the guests are not happy, you feel just uncomfortable. So that is Asian culture. I think there is a great infusion of this culture in New Zealand as well, combined with the authentic indigenous culture of New Zealand, which is a nice combination.
Southland is bucking the national trend according to the latest QV Monthly Property Value Index. Nationwide values continue to rise, driven by Auckland and Canterbury, where high demand and short supply are pushing prices up. Meanwhile, Southland house values fell 2.6% over the same 12-month period, with Gore, South Waikato, Rangitikei and Central Hawke's Bay among regions which experienced the largest declines in property value in the last year. The Auckland suburb of Waitakere recorded the largest upward change, with residential property values up nearly 17% in the last 12 months. Christchurch house values were also significantly affected, rising 10.8%. After the break, Civic Honours Award recipient and retiring City Councillor Thelma Buck. Welcome back. Civic Honours Award recipient Thelma Buck initially felt undeserving when informed that her service to the community was to be acknowledged. The veteran councillor has served 21 years on the City Council and 6 years on the Invercargill Licensing Trust. Hunter Andrews asked her about her award and her entry into local body politics.
I don't know who put me up for it, but yes, I was surprised and angry because I felt that I wasn't justified in having it. Where the other people got a nice letter through the post, I read mine in the agenda.
Now, let's go back to when you initially thought of running for council. What were you doing at the time and what spurred you on to have a go?
Well, I was just a young 40-ish person running a restaurant with a couple of boys. One went off to university and the other one was still going to school, and I read an ad in the paper that was saying we need helpers to help us look at the library with the shops underneath, and had a phone number, so I rang it up, and of course the people were the Skerritts and they had a big following, and she told me that as soon as they'd arranged a hall, she would come back to me and tell me where the meeting was. I said, I don't arrange a hall, just come and have it down at the restaurant. So on a Mondays Monday nights were always closed, and Monday night it used to be packed with people that opposed it. And it went to 2 votes, and both times it was lost. So they give the idea of the shops away and just went for a library. And when you look at the library now and you see the archives beside it, and it's common knowledge that they've also bought the shop next door, which they're going to be doing something with as well, that it was definitely the better choice.
And you mentioned when we were talking before about a one-way system in South Invercargill.
That's right.
You were against that?
In the 80s, there was a doing up of D Street. Here we go again, and they had all sorts of big pot planter things in the middle, and that seemingly they'd had a public meeting, but their public meetings in those days are about as funny as what they are now, because only half the people knew, and I didn't know anything about it. And then somebody showed me a plan that not only took in D Street, but it also took in South Invercargill, and it meant that when you were heading towards the shops down there, the New World and all that, it was all one way, and you had to go down as far as St Andrew's Church, turn on the green belt, well it wouldn't be green belt then, turn the green belt beside the church and go up and come back the other way. And I just couldn't see any point in it, and I couldn't see any point in all the good people that had put hundreds of thousands of dollars and the mall down there and money doing it. So a group of us got together, we got thousands of signatures and presented them to the council, and then we had to wait for the big vote, and we won by one.
If the city was divided into wards, you would be the councillor for Southland and Invercargill, wouldn't you? I mean, you've stood on those issues, haven't you?
I was the council for Strathern. I polled second, the only time they ever did it, and Dougal Soper polled first, I polled second, and for many years I was right up halfway through it. As I got a bit older and a bit cheekier, I suppose, people got upset and I went down a bit. But once I went out, I lost by a couple of hundred votes, and I stayed home for 3 years. I couldn't go far because the phone was ringing all the time, and people just knew I wasn't on the council, but they wanted advice and where to go. And so I just kept answering the phone and sending them on where they had to go to get what they wanted done.
Are you going to keep involved in some level? Because will there be that voice, do you think, for those people in South Invercargill around the council table?
Hard to say. You talk to me on Saturday when the votes come in, and then I'll tell you who I think will be the voice for Invercargill.
Do you think there is an inequality with council attention between Northland and South Invercargill, or is that just a myth?
Yes and no. The shops are lovely in Windsor. The shops are smaller in South Invercargill, but there is people supporting both ends of town, and sometimes to the detriment of what's happening in Invercargill. Yeah, so in the main city and what have you. Yeah. So
we will see you again though in public.
Oh yes, I'll be hoping.
No graceful retirement.
I'll be hoping to go to the first council meeting and see who's there, what happens, and what have you, and hopefully Richard might invite me to a few things over the next few years. And no, I won't be going away. I'm going to have a holiday in Australia next year, but apart from that, no, I'll still be here.
That's it from the news team tonight. Sports up next with a preview of tomorrow's big Ranfurly Challenge.